Welcome to MojoPlays, and we are living in the age where everything old is new again. Get ready to revisit some of your favorite classics with a fresh HD upgrade.
Sorry I'm late.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. The Thing Remastered.
I'm gonna hide this tape when I'm finished. If none of us make it, at least there'll be some kind of a record.
2002's The Thing remains one of the most overlooked horror titles of the PS2 and Xbox era, despite being a direct sequel to John Carpenter's masterful 1982 film. Thankfully, however, the game is getting a second chance thanks to Remakes Masters Night Dive Studios in 2025. Despite the dated graphics, The Thing managed to capture the stress and unease of the film, as players need to not only manage resources, but also their team members. As more and more become infected and replaced by the titular Thing, tensions rise and some members will refuse to work or share supplies with the rest of the camp. The desolation of the frozen wasteland is perfectly recreated, as players explore the abandoned research station and encounter numerous versions of the Thing at every turn. Who can you trust when it could be anywhere or anyone?
We're all very tired. There's nothing else I can do.
Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster, Gate Rune, and Dunin Unification Wars. The long-dormant Suikoden series is finally making a comeback. And while it might not be a new entry, being able to replay some of the best RPGs of all time on modern hardware is a fine concession. The Suikoden series is rightfully regarded as some of the best JRPGs of the PS1 and PS2 era, Suikoden 2 especially, with its intricately designed and interconnected narratives and massive roster of recruitable characters. Making the most of the popular 2D HD graphics upgrade, the sprites and environments are more detailed and beautiful than ever, and will also feature updates to the menus as well as quality of life improvements to combat and numerous other behind-the-scenes systems. We've had quite a few of these 2D HD updated games recently, and honestly, keep them coming. Not only to preserve these titles as legacy, but also to introduce them to a whole new generation of players. Freedom Wars Remastered. Much like the closure of the Wii U and 3DS online stores, a lot of games were lost to time on the Vita. If you didn't happen to have a working console and copy of the game, you were out of luck. Thankfully, one of the Vita's best titles is getting a second chance to find a wider audience on modern consoles, as Freedom Wars is receiving the remaster treatment in 2025. Besides the usual upgraded visuals and performance upgrades, controls have been overhauled for a smoother experience, and players can team up with 7 other players to fight for their freedom. Freedom Wars was already a cult classic on Sony's handheld with its unique approach to combat and intriguing story of prisoners fighting to reduce their sentences. And with the remaster, the developers are hoping for a resurgence to allow them to move forward with the sequel they've been planning for years. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. There are several Wii exclusives that are still trapped on the now retro console, but thankfully, Nintendo has been slowly porting some of these titles to the Switch to give them a second lease on life. While we'd already gotten Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, fans of the Big Ape will finally get to play his original comeback, Donkey Kong Returns, in 2025, and in HD no less. Retro Studios' commercial and critical reinvention of DK took him back to his classic roots on the SNES, and gave the big man some of the most inventive and challenging 2D levels of his career. Thankfully, the questionable motion controls will remain a thing of the past, and along with upgraded visuals, the game will feature levels previously exclusive to the 3DS release. Just like the old school days of DK Adventures, it can also be played entirely in co-op. Tomb Raider 4-6 Remastered.
Time to put things right.
Lara Croft's comeback tour continues as hot off the spelunking expedition to remaster Laura's first 3 PS1 adventures, Aspyr announced remasters of Laura's last 2 PS1 entries, and more surprisingly, her PS2 outing Angel of Darkness. Releasing exactly a year after the first remastered trilogy, 4-6 will feature the same updated graphics and controls as 1-3, trophy support, and photo mode. While admittedly none of the titles in the 4 through 6 collection would be considered some of Lore's best adventures, we're still excited to see the entirety of Lore's original adventures from series creators' core design finally collected and playable on modern hardware. Hopefully, these updates will make Angel of Darkness a bit more enjoyable this time around. Now all we need are remasters of Legend, Anniversary, and Underworld, and the Lara Croft saga will be complete. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition.
Fancy seeing you here.
The Xenoblade series has become one of Nintendo's most successful IPs, consistently pushing the aging Switch to its limits and delivering the kind of traditional RPG goodness fans love. However, even though the entire trilogy is available on the Switch, there was still one component missing. Trapped on the long-dead Wii U, Chronicles X is a side story to the mainline games. With the end of the Switch's life cycle in sight, Nintendo is finally bringing the entire collection together and updating not only the visuals, but also including previously unreleased story content and side quests with updated controls and menus. Players will also be able to team up online for multiplayer-specific challenges and missions, and even have other players' avatars join them in the main storyline, similar to Dragon's Dogma and that game's pawn system. Definitive indeed.
Well, here we are. Not too shabby, huh?
Lunar Remastered Collection. The PS1 had no shortage of incredible RPGs for genre fans to lose hours in. But there were so many great choices that many were overlooked almost completely and forgotten to time. The Lunar series never quite reached the heights of its counterparts on Sony's little gray box, but Lunar Silver Star Story and its sequel, Lunar 2 Eternal Blue, will finally be given a new shot at life on modern hardware and not just in our nostalgic memories. While the games weren't revolutionary in design or narrative, they still told engaging stories full of likable characters and beautiful worlds to explore, along with some wonderfully 90s anime cutscenes. The game will feature improved graphics and numerous quality of life improvements for modern audiences to be able to jump in and enjoy some classic 90s RPG goodness. Gothic.
Hey, you! Get out of here!
Calm down. I'm going.
Good choice.
The debut game from developer Piranha Bytes, the original Gothic received widespread acclaim for its realistic world design and character interactions, and even rivaled the mighty Elder Scrolls III Morrowind for the best RPG of the early 2000s. After 2 decades, Gothic is coming back, and with a major graphical upgrade from Unreal Engine 5, but the facelift is only the start of the remake's improvements. The fascinating world of Gothic has been completely overhauled with realistic NPCs and wildlife, as well as numerous modern quality of life improvements and gameplay features. Gothic remains one of the truest forms of a role-playing game, and the remake continues this tradition by allowing players to experience the world in any way they want, with NPC interactions that will accommodate their actions. The remake will also introduce new areas for longtime fans to explore, and much improved combat and progression system that should satisfy both newcomers and die-hard Gothics.
Yeah!
I really thought you could get away with this, eh? Wait.
Yooka-Replayee. Longtime Rare fans have been begging the developer to return to their roots and give the world another classic 3D platformer. And while the devs were out sailing the high seas, some former members of Rare got together to give fans what they wanted. Yooka-Replaylee, a spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie, might not have rekindled the flame of the developer's glory days, but it was still a solid experience to a bygone era of inventive platforming and collectathon gaming. Playtonic Games haven't given up on the duo, and along with some excellent 2D outings, is delivering the definitive Yooka-Replaylee experience, with improved visuals, controls, a much improved camera, and most importantly, a map that tracks challenges, collectibles, and fast travel points. Replayee will finally be the return to form fans have been hoping for, and the game Playtonic always hoped to deliver. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater.
Your codename for this mission will be Naked Snake. I'll be referring to you as Snake from now on.
Metal Gear series creator Hideo Kojima might have left Solid Snake and his sneaking ways behind him after he split with Konami, but Konami refuses to let Snake enjoy his retirement. Choosing to remake the canonical first entry in the Metal Gear series, Konami is aiming to make Delta the de facto way to experience one of the franchise's best entries. Utilizing Unreal Engine 5 for all it's worth, Delta is a one-to-one remake in every sense of the description, even reusing the original dialogue from the 2004 classic. That doesn't mean there won't be any upgrades, however. Snake Eater Delta will offer players plenty of modern quality of life improvements, with game mechanics from later entries as well as both modern and classic options for controls and camera, with the classic option maintaining the static camera angles of the original release.
The only thing we can believe in with absolute certainty is the mission.
What video game do you hope receives the coveted remake or remaster treatment? Share your picks in the comments. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.